What's up guys, Anthony here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about one of the more weaker agents in the game, that being Deadlock. Now, I wouldn't call Deadlock a bad agent as she does have many uses on many different maps, but when you compare it to some of the other Sentinels such as Killjoy or Cypher, you will see she does have a couple problems going for her. So in today's video we're going to be analyzing what these problems are and trying to suggest some buffs and changes to make Deadlock a more better agent. So yeah, if you do end up enjoying this video, leave a like and comment, and don't forget to subscribe because we are on our way to 10k subs and we are currently at 8k. Anyways, let's go on to the video. But before we talk about Deadlock's main weakness, let's first talk about the things Deadlock has going for her in her kit. First of all, her Gravnet is very useful for many different scenarios, the first one being to stopping a push. If an enemy team is pushing, you could simply throw the grenade at a choke point and everyone will be forced to do an animation before they could continue onto site. Her sound sensors make it that the enemy team has to play very carefully once they're in the sight of a Deadlock, because at any moment they could possibly trigger a concuss, and that concuss will basically leave you a sitting duck where you are basically a free pick. Her wall is very useful for slowing down a push because the enemies are forced to waste their ammo on it, and you could also possibly kill an enemy while they're trying to break the wall. And lastly, her ultimate is basically a guaranteed kill in many circumstances if you play it off of info. So for the most part, you might take a look at this kit and be like, alright, what is the main problem with Deadlock that makes her weaker than all the other Sentinels? And that simply has to do with one word: information. As long as you exclude Sage, every single Sentinel in the game has some form of gaining information, that being Chamber with his Bluetooth speaker, Cypher with his camera and trips, Vice with her wall, and Killjoy with her turret and alarm bot. All of these Sentinels have some way of watching an area and gaining information without being there directly. The closest thing Deadlock really has is her sonic sensors, but those don't really work that well because in order to catch somebody flanking or entering an area, they would need to have to run right by it. And usually if you are flanking, you are basically cutting noise completely, meaning that if you see that sonic sensor, you can just simply walk by it. And I think most people can agree this is the main problem with Deadlock. It's that even though she can hold down an area pretty well and stall the enemies, she has no way of getting any form of guaranteed information without just simply looking at an angle. She can't be like Chamber and place down his trip. She can't be like Killjoy and place down a turret. She literally can't do any of that. So how do we fix this? I have a simple solution. My suggestion is to give Deadlock's sound sensor another mode when placing it. That being, when you are placing it, you can either place it normally, or you could right click to put it into its second mode, and I would call this mode proximity mode, and it would change how the sensor works completely. The first change is that it doesn't matter if you're quiet or not, the sound sensor will now be able to detect any enemy as long as it is in the radius of the sound sensor. This will basically make that if Deadlock wants to hold flank, she can simply pull out her sound sensor, right click to change the mode, and have a trip that will give a sound cue if an enemy tries to flank. But the main downside of this mode is that the concussion effect will no longer trigger. It doesn't matter if the enemy is making noise or not. If the enemy is caught, the concuss will no longer trigger. The second change is also that the sound sensor will now no longer be invisible, meaning that when an enemy is flanking, they could see from a distance that the sound sensor is on the wall, where they have the option to stop flanking and go back to their team normally, or they could break it to spread confusion for the Deadlock. And even though yes, the enemies would have some form of counterplay for your trips, it would still be a nice option to have because now Deadlock will now have a way to watch flank. And if you couldn't tell already, yes, this idea is very similar to something you can find in the game Rainbow Six Siege, where in that game, a secondary gadget that exists for defenders is the proximity sensor, where it doesn't have any negative effect on the enemy when they are caught. It doesn't explode, it doesn't poison them, but it does give away the position of the enemy and makes they either have to stop flanking or they have to continue forward knowing that the enemy does know where they are. This is something that I personally think fits with Deadlock's kit really well and just gives her the option that when she is placing her sound sensor, she has two different options. She can either use it as a trap to get kills, or she could use it for a way to get information. Either way, I do think this will be a really good change for Deadlock if Riot Games would ever want to buff her without changing much about her. But for the most part, that's basically my main suggestion on how to fix Deadlock, because I don't think there is much that needs to be changed about her. She isn't the worst character in the game, but she does need at least something new to make her strong. So yeah, that's my suggestion. Comment down below what you personally think about it, like the video if you didn't enjoy, and subscribe because I do make a lot of Valorant content, and if you want to see more in the future, definitely hit that sub. Anyways, I'll see you guys all in my next video. Goodbye.